Okay, this is animal cookies. So, right at Orgo, check his animal cookies before eating any. Okay, there's several things we're going to learn. We're going to use square roots and squares a lot starting next week because we're doing a concept called the Pythagorean theorem next week. And if you've seen my car, that's what the license plate represents. So it's something that's near and dear to me, so you'd all better get A's on it. Okay, so here, a square. We're talking about squaring something. So if you look at this square, okay, what do you know about the sides?
They're all equal.
They're all 90.
You're all equal. Okay, so in this example, this is 10 and this is 10. 10 times 10 is 100. So 10 squared equals 100. The other thing we do is we find the square root, and that's like a big check mark with a line over it of
Like
100. It not really, it's more like a check mark with a line over it rather than just a line. That's a square root. And what that says, what times itself is 100. Now, we know what it is. But let me show you a method that will help you always find that. I use factoring. It's the other F word.
Fraction.
Okay? Fractions and factoring. So if I have 100, is 100 an even number?
Yes.
Yes.
So 2 goes into it. I always look for prime factors. 2 goes into that 50 times. Is 50 an even number?
Yes.
Yes.
2 goes into it too. 25 times. 25's not even. What prime number goes into 25?
5.
5. And it does that 5 times. Ooh, 5's prime. It goes in once. The minute you have a 1 down here, you have completely factored the number. So this here is exactly the same as this. 2 times 2 times 5 times 5. Are we all in agreement?
Yes.
Did I just prove it's exactly the same thing?
Yes.
Now we're talking about a square root. Square, we just discovered, was 2 of something, right? Now, these guys are stuck in square root jail. Now everybody knows jailbreaks always take at least 2, don't they?
Yes.
Well, in square root jail, they take exactly 2. So if you have 2, they can get out of square root jail. So the 5s can get out too because there's 2 of them. So now we have 5 times 2, so the square root of 100 equals 10. And that's how you find the square root. It always works. Now, okay, so let's go down here. Let's look at the square root of 900.
900.
Square root, hey, it's not going to be as hard as it sounds. So the square root of 900, let's factor 900. Is it even?
Yes. Yes.
2 goes in 450 times. Is 450 even?
Yes.
Okay, 2 goes into 4 twice. 2 goes into 5 twice with 1 left over. 2 goes into 10 5 times. What goes into 225? 5. 5 goes into 20 4 times. 2 were left over. 5 goes into 25 5 times. What goes into 45?
5.
5. It goes in 9 times. What goes into 9?
3.
9.
3. 9 is not prime.
So,
Remember primes? And 3 goes into 3, and then we've got 1 on the bottom, so we're completely factored. Let's rewrite our square root. Square root of 900 is 2 times 2 times 5 times 5 times 3 times 3. And we can see who gets out of jail. 2s, 5s, and 3s. It's 2 times 5 times 3, which is
900.
square root of 900 equals 30. Okay? Now, okay, something you have to watch with square roots. Until you're in Algebra 2, square root of negative 25 has no solution. You cannot have a negative inside. Negative square root 25 equals negative 5. What's the difference? Yes?
The negative.
Since the negative's inside the 25, you can't multiply it by 5 times 5 or else it'll be a positive. When it's outside, you could divide 25 by 5 and you could get 5, and then the negative's on the outside, so then you can get negative 5.
Perfect. Remember, absolute value is a grouping symbol, so you have to do what's inside first. Okay? Absolute value is a grouping symbol just like a square root sign is a grouping symbol just like absolute value. So let's look at this one, E. The square root of 16 plus 9. What do you do first?
You add.
You have to do what's inside the absolute value. What's 16 plus 9?
25.
25, which would be, if you want to take it to the roots, 5 times 5, do they get out of jail?
Yes.
Absolutely, and it equals 5. You do not put the answers on top like you do in division. You always write an equal sign. You don't put them on top. It's just not done. It's kind of like wearing the wrong thing, okay? The other thing that you'll see on here that you may not be familiar with are things like the square root of 15 squared. What would that look like? It looks like the square root of 15 times the square root of 15. Okay? And what you can do, it's the same thing, right? Put it under one square. What's the square root of 15 times 15?
I think it's 300, yes.
Oh, no. What's the square root of 15 times 15? Do they get out of jail?
Yes.
Ah, so it's just
15.
15. So does a square root and a square cancel each other out?
No.
Isn't that what just happened?
Oh, yes.
Look at it.
Yes.
Okay, look at those. They're very interesting. One more thing that you may see from time to time. The square root of 64 over 81. What do you think you do with a root fraction?
You divide.
Thanks.
Well, you don't. Remember, roots aren't divisible. So what do? Let's look. What times itself is 64?
80.
What times itself is 81?
9.
That's your answer.
Wow.
So if you have a square root of a fraction, factor the numerator, then factor the denominator, and get them out of jail. Factor the numerator and the denominator. Okay? Remember that the root symbol is a grouping symbol. So do that first in your order of operations.